is really not controlled by the United States, even though everything is in dollars around the world. Actually, it's European.
Stability control system.
And there are some countries right now in Europe that say absolutely, there are other countries that absolutely not. And here's the reason why the United States is just going to say absolutely not. They're not invoking that sanction. I mean, that's the ultimate sanction. And so, and then others kick in too. And they're talking about importing high technology. U.S. companies can't sell anymore to Russia, anything other than this humanitarian aid. And then you talk about the United States instituting that, and then you have the rest of the industrial world following suit, and all of a sudden you've got a big issue with the Russian economy. They can't bring in products.
They're tracking our stability control system.
No, thank you. We're not interested. But here is the problem. The tougher the sanctions are on Russia, and economists are saying it's actually worse for Russia than it is. After World War II, we controlled everything. SWIFT was set up, we controlled it. The international currency is the dollar, which we have a great deal of control, obviously, through the Fed, and how much money is released. And we were it. Well, that's changed. Now we have China, quickly approaching our strength, and we have Russia, which is still not huge. It's the 12th largest economy. But here's what happens. If they can't sell energy, if they're taken out, if their economy collapses, man, that could be 2% of the world GDP. And all of a sudden you go, wow! I mean, that's a huge number. And then what does Europe do for fuel? Because they get most of their energy supply from Russia. And that will be cut off. That is being cut off as far as the pipeline is concerned. The pipeline going from the Nord to pipeline from Russia to Germany and through the rest of Europe. So we're looking at shooting ourselves when that gun goes off, the sanctions go off. Now, is SWIFT and other major sanctions still being considered? Of course they are. And if Russia keeps on then chances are that those countries are going to be involved. Right now, it's the oligarchs, the people that are close to Putin. They can't travel. Their assets weren't even frozen or weren't even taken. Their assets weren't even confiscated. They were frozen in the United States and in the UK and other countries. So, by international law, can they confiscate those? I don't even know what the treaties say. But that goes in that sector. And you've got sectors that are being affected in Russia. Right now, banking is being affected in Russia. Even though they're not out of SWIFT, banks can still function. However, the sanctions have stopped 80% of the actual money that's being transferred from Russia. That stopped because of the sanctions. So we'll see how far it goes. It's not that easy. It's all up in the air. The invasion continues. And, what happened yesterday with Wall Street? I mean, how weird a story is that? We open the show and it's down 700 points. We end the show and it's down 400 points. It closes at 100 points. The day of the invasion of the country, first time since World War II in Europe. We're going to talk to Caleb Silver coming up, ABC News contributor and editor of Investopedia. Jennifer, what's going on in the UK?
Here's the latest news on the invasion of Ukraine. It is day 2 of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and troops have started to attack the capital in what officials fear is to overthrow the government. As more air sirens go off this morning, more civilians are now being asked to join the fight. They're being handed weapons and encouraged to make Molotov cocktails. The president also ordered a general military mobilization, banning men up to 60 years old from leaving the country. We'll take a look at your drive on the 91 in just a moment.
Good night's sleep is so important. And a bad night's sleep, look what it does to you the next day. And if you continuously have sleep that is not so wonderful, but that really
that's negative. That's negative.
Sleeping on for 14 years now, the sleep number bed actually does give you the great sleep that you need, certainly in my case. And you customize each side of the bed to whatever firmness level works for you. That's your sleep number. Mine happens to be 100. And what's going on until February 28th, just till the end of the month, we have a couple of days more to go. The Ultimate Sleep event is going on. 50% off Sleep Number 360 smart beds. Also special financing, subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. Go to sleepnumber.com for details. There are 30 locations in Southern California, Temecula, Chino Hills, Montclair, Porter Ranch among them. And Sleep Number is the official sleep and wellness partner of the LA Rams. Visit sleepnumber.com.
Let's get a look at your commute on the 91.
Well, not too bad here this morning. If you're from Buena Park and you want to go to the west, everybody's kind of moving along, kind of slow through the major interchanges there, 605 and 710, but you'll be okay. The carpool lane is good on the eastbound drive, but good as well. Now, we did pick up the North 405. If you're coming up from Long Beach, going up to LAX, that drive is pretty good. It's a little slower on the North 405. Might have been an earlier problem, but not too bad. We're turning east on the 105 now. That's looking pretty good. The concern of mine is up on the 210. That's kind of complicated. East and west, in between the 605 and 57. More on that coming up. Don't go away. Kfi in the sky. Contact license 1047.
Don Cool was standing in line at a convenience store when he saw an elderly man fumbling in his wallet and digging through his pockets. Embarrassed, he decided to return a box of corn checks to the cereal aisle. Just then, a young man holding 2 six-packs of Bud Light reached down and scooped a $5 bill off the floor. He told the old man he saw it fall out of his wallet. The man completed his purchase and left the store. That's when Don Cool saw the young man return one of his 6 packs of beer to the cooler. I wish I had been there with Don that day. I would have offered that young man a job at Kfi because I know he cares about people and I know he has character. If you know air conditioning or if you know plumbing and you care about people and have character, I want to meet you. You're going to love, absolutely love, working at Kfi. Put the pedal to the metal, call Kfi. GOE-ETL. There's nothing better, but it's hard to spell.
Sprinter and mattress owners, listen to this. Tired of waiting for a service department and paying too much? Check out our brand new Fletcher Jones Fan Center in Costa Mesa. We're offering better service with no wait appointments and extended hours for your convenience. And as part of the Fletcher Jones family of dealerships, your customer experience will always be second to none. Visit fjvans.com to stop on in. Mention this ad and the first 100 customers will receive a free oil change. The new Fletcher Jones Van Center, Costa Mesa, keeping your work engines working.
Omicron spreads faster than any other COVID-19 variant, so it's important for you to mask up to limit the spread. N95, KN95, and KF94 masks offer the best fit and filtration. Don't have these? Surgical masks or double masking with a surgical and private mask can also offer great protection. So there you go. Mask, vax, and get boosted. Learn more at covid19.ca.gov. Brought to you by Public Health.
Want to pay off your 30-year mortgage in half the time? Network Capital is offering a low 15-year fixed rate at 2.75% with a 2.94 APR. Take advantage of the low rates for half the payments. If you're looking to lower your interest rate, pay your home off sooner, or pull out some cash, don't miss this opportunity. You'll never have to worry about refinancing again with rates this low. Our 15-year fixed rate is 2.75% with a 2.94 APR. It's not often to get such an amazing second chance to refinance and forget it. That's a 15-year fixed at 2.75% with a 2.94 APR. Has experts standing by right now to help. Call 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1-HIT. As in home run. Call now and save big on your refi. 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1448. NMLS ID 11712. Not licensed in all states. Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Licensed by the California Department of Protection and Financing Law. Number 603D787. Rates subject to change and may not be available at rate law. Discount points may apply. Subject to credit approval. Call 800-500-1448 for additional cost information.
Hey, it's Steve Gregory. This week on Unsolved, the man in a box, plus the mysterious murder in Bassett Park. Learn how anthropologists help detectives identify the man in a metal box using only his skull. And how did a young man end up dead in a park miles from home?
Unsolved with Steve Gregory. Tomorrow night at 8 on KFI.
It is a February 26th. A lot of news this morning. First of all, the invasion continues. Russia, Steve, may fall today. We're no longer hearing about how denazification of Ukraine has to be done, and it's all about helping the people of eastern Ukraine, not when the rest of the country is under attack. Also, the president is going to nominate Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court nominee, and so a lot's going on this morning. In the meantime, yesterday, boy, what a day on Wall Street, and it didn't make any sense to me. The market opens down hundreds of points because of the invasion. The market ends up in light of the first major attack on a sovereign country in Europe since World War II. Man, if that doesn't roil the markets, you would think. Look what happened yesterday. Caleb Silver, ABC News contributor and editor-in-chief of Investopedia, is with us. Caleb, thanks for taking the time. So what was it all about yesterday? You want to give us a little bit of insight?
Yeah, we have an expression called sell the rumor, buy the news. And the rumor, and it wasn't a rumor, was that Russia had made an invasion. And the markets did tank about 850 points on the Dow Industrials, then recovered 950 points to close in positive territory after President Biden's press conference. It's not that the president rescued the stock market, but the fact that there are real sanctions in place and maybe many more in the back pocket that we could possibly use to deter Russia, that I think gave investors some optimism. But geopolitical events like this are always super volatile, and usually they wind up with losses, but then resolve to the upside. So maybe investors are saying, I think we have a better handle on what might happen, but I think we're in for another day of volatility today. Just 2 hours ago, futures were in the red, heading for a down day. Now they're positive again, so you tell me.
Yeah, it's strange. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this one because as the sanctions are building and the talk is sanctions are getting stronger and stronger, they're hitting the economy of Russia, which deals with the economy of Europe. And Russia is pretty important to Europe in terms of energy, in terms of wheat, food. And if you take them out of the mix, where does Europe go? Because they miss all of those things instantly. Russia is out of the international market if, for example, the sanctions go full blast into removing Russia from SWIFT. I mean, we're hurting ourselves. How does the stock market go up with the possibility of the economy going down?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if you look, the European markets were the ones that were severely impacted, not to mention Russia's stock market, the MOEX. That's up 20% yesterday. European stocks up 3 or 4% yesterday. But the U.S. rebounded. Maybe it is because investors may see potential resolution here, or this does affect the global economy. We don't import oil directly from Russia, but it is 10% of the global supply. You take that offline, and we're already seeing higher oil prices because of it. If that continues, we're going to see higher oil prices here in the U.S., and we're going to see higher prices, and we're already seeing them in the commodities.
All right, so that's negative.
For wheat, for corn, for soy, some of the key exports from that region as well. But investors like clarity, and in the middle of the geopolitical conflict, you don't get a lot of it, but we did get a little bit in terms of those sanctions. And you're right, we didn't announce any measures with SWIFT because that could really derail not just the Russian economy, but the European economy as well, which is why President Biden and NATO and its allies did not go forth with that. But some measure of we're doing something about it give investors a little bit of confidence. And it's not retail investors like you, me, and your listeners who are moving their money, hopefully. It's big institutional investors who say, I have a little more confidence and clarity today. They're the ones that move markets. Individual investors like us, all we can do is stand aside and watch this play out. Stock markets tank. We may have an opportunity to buy in at cheaper prices, but usually these conflicts resolve higher after the initial days of uncertainty and volatility.
All right, so let's talk about the Russian economy. I know the ruble tanks a big percentage. When we talk about invoking these sanctions against Russia, how long-lasting is that? Let's say the sanctions kick in and they do for a month, 2 months. What is the long-term effect to Russia?
Well, that's the big mystery, because you would think that Russia's, if you look at its bond market, bond yields spike because there is no confidence in the Russian economy. Investors don't want any part of it because they know Russia's going to be in for a long, long spring if they continue down this path. That said, there's a lot of money that those Russian oligarchs have in places that wouldn't even know about it. It's upwards of $800 billion if you listen to some of the reports. So they may be able to withstand it, or put the people of Russia through a lot of suffering just to get to their political goal, their end game there. So it is bad for the Russian economy, bad for the Russian people, but Russian leaders have plenty of money and are not that worried about it because they may have it stashed in places we have no idea about. So they're not terribly concerned. It's not like here in the U.S., if this were to happen here, we wouldn't stand for it for 1 minute.
No, not at all. And I always said, when you talk about sanctions against an individual, an oligarch, how does that affect the big market? How does that affect us? It doesn't. It just makes him, he builds a yacht instead of 400 feet long, 300 feet long. So I've never understood those sanctions. Now, against sectors, yes. Stopping Russia, for example, from importing technology, not letting them bank, freezing assets, big-time assets. I can understand that. But I've always wondered, sanctions against individuals, why do they even bother?
Well, in an economy like the Russian economy, where the oligarchs control most of the wealth, there may be pressure from the folks surrounding President Putin that, hey, we're losing money here. We're losing a lot of money. All the money we've been able to cobble together over the last, decade or so since he's been in power. We don't support the invasion anymore. That's what the purpose of sanctions are. Whether they actually play out that way, we have no idea because we really don't know, again, how much money they actually own and what they do with that money. But if there's enough pressure on the banking system or technology, as you mentioned, if Taiwan and China decide not to export semiconductors to Russia, which they need just like we need to build everything from rockets to phones to cars to refrigerators, that could definitely take a toll on their economy, but it's going to hurt the global economy as well. And the estimates here, if you want to bring it on home to the United States, if perhaps Russian oil goes offline and we have more sanctions and the Russian economy is not able to do its exports, that hurt U.S. GDP in the long run. Again, we're not direct importers from Russia, but we're a part of the global supply chain. We use oil, we use wheat, we use soy, and we don't buy it from them, but we do buy it on the open market, and it will affect prices.
Yeah, now is it fair to say that as these sanctions kick in and they get stricter and stricter, Europe is going to take it in the shorts? I mean, they're going to suffer the most.
Absolutely, and the German economy is probably the one that's front and center on that because they are a major importer from Russia for natural gas. They, of course, suspended the construction of the development of the Nord 2 pipeline, which transfers natural gas from Russia to Germany, a big user of natural gas for its manufacturing processes. They're suffering because of this, which is why you didn't hear talk of oil, an embargo on the oil, or taking Russia off the SWIFT system. That could really impact the Western European economy, and that's not something NATO's willing to do right now.
Well, right now, Nord 2 is not pumping oil or gas. And so, obviously, Germany is doing okay. Is it relying on this for the future, and that is the reason that they're running so paranoid?
Yeah, and like I said, natural gas is a key component in the European economy, but especially Germany. We produce a lot of it ourselves here in the U.S., so we're a little bit more insulated from that, but Germany doesn't. So they do rely on Russia, which is why you've seen them sort of tiptoe these sanctions as it relates to that. Yes, they did halt the construction and development of that pipeline for now, but it's the other exports coming out of Russia, crude oil itself, that's a very big factor in these discussions.
Caleb, thank you. Great information. I'm sure as this thing kicks in, we're going to talk again and again. Coming up, what the U.S. military is doing when it comes to the invasion. And there's a story there I want to share with you. In the meantime, let's check in with Jennifer Jones-Lee, up-to-date news.
Here's the latest news on the invasion with Ukraine.
Russia has shattered peace on the European continent. What we have warned against for months has come to pass.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has spoken to leaders who gathered at a virtual NATO leader summit to discuss Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russian troops have attacked Ukraine's capital with the sounds of gunfire and explosions heard closer to the government quarters. UN officials say they have prepared for millions to flee Ukraine. The Kremlin says Russia is ready to talk with Ukrainian officials. Luxembourg's foreign minister says the EU is very close to agreement to freeze Putin's assets. The world's economy and energy supplies have been affected, and gas prices have risen here in the U.S. News is brought to you by veteran-owned Semper Solaris. Governor Newsom is offering $50 million to clean up homeless camps.
19 communities statewide will get the money through grants, and Newsom says it'll provide shelter or housing for more than 1,400 people. In September, Newsom says he set a goal of cleaning 100 encampments. Since then, officials say the state's cleaned 431 camps. Of the 19 million, Long Beach got 1.3 million to help 40 people. LA got 1.7 million to help 60 people. Orange County got 3.6 million to help 60 people. And San Bernardino County got 1.7 million to help 150 people. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
Taiwan's defense ministry says 9 Chinese aircraft entered its defense zones after Russia started the invasion of Ukraine. A U.S. defense official says it's not unusual. China's foreign ministry claims Taiwan has no comparison to Ukraine since it's always been part of China. Columbia University has suspended the head of its psychiatry department because he wondered in a tweet whether a black model's skin color was a work of art or a freak of nature. Dr. Jeffrey Lieberman has also been removed from his position as psychiatrist-in-chief at the New York Presbyterian Hospital. Lieberman has apologized, saying he is deeply ashamed of his comments. And Kim Kardashian has asked a court to ignore Ye's attempts to slow down their divorce and end their marriage as soon as possible. She filed documents in LA Superior Court late yesterday saying Ye, who legally changed his name from Kanye West, is causing emotional distress with his social media posts and because he won't accept that their marriage is over. Let's take a look at your drive in just a moment and update on the 210, but first it's sports with Wayne.
The Super Bowl champion Rams are reportedly planning to build a training facility in Woodland Hills on the site of the former Promenade Shopping Mall. The property would be big enough to hold a summer training setup with fans in attendance. Many years ago, the Dodgers looked at building a minor league stadium on that same site. There's hoops action. It's local showdown time. The Lakers play the Clippers today at 7 o'clock live on AM 570 LA Sports. I'm Wayne Resnick, KFI Sports.
SoCal weather from KFI. It's a sunny day ahead with highs in the 50s and 60s. More sunshine tomorrow, and the temperatures will warm into the 70s for the rest of the weekend. Let's get an update on the 210.
Well, you betcha. If you were with us last time around, I'm glad you came up here. We're circling over the 210 in Citrus right now. This really turned into quite a problem. Now it's eastbound before Citrus. All lanes are currently blocked. CHP is trying to get somebody out of the carpool lane. They were sitting in the carpool lane for a long time, so it was really quite a problem. Tow truck is hooking up right now as I speak to you. Now, if you're coming out of Pasadena, boy, you can really expect delays. You block all lanes on any freeway this time of the morning. The backs up real quick. It's going through Irwindale right now. It'll be back to the 605. Before you know it, I think they should clear pretty quickly here, but again, all lanes are blocked. Now, the westbound drive's kind of slow coming through. That's for sure, coming away from the 57 over towards the 605. The drive into Pasadena after that, it's going to be okay. Not too bad. The 605, let's go look at that coming up here, that's for sure. Southbound, this morning drive slow going down through the 5 and the 105, but not too bad. KFI in the sky.
Have you ever felt depressed about work, only to have your dad be like, why are you so down? So you told him you hate your job, and he said, well, you better talk yourself out of it. And then you thought, I love to talk. I could host a podcast. And then you went to Spreaker from iHeart and started a podcast and got good at it. Then monetized it, then quit your boring job, and told your dad, thanks for the advice. And he was like, well, that's not what I meant, and I don't understand what a podcast is, but you seem happy, so that's great, kiddo. You ever do that? Well, you could. At Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker. Ask your dad. You actually don't.
At Ralph's, fresh groceries are our thing, so we check your delivery order for freshness at every step from farm to store and pick and pack every veggie in your free pickup order with care, because we treat your food the way we'd want ours to be treated. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Ralph's, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
And now you'll find more ways to save on your favorites. When you download digital coupons, you can use up to 5 times in one transaction. Ralph's, fresh for everyone.
When you get hurt in a car accident, there's someone at an insurance company whose job it is to diminish your injury. To them, you're just another case that needs to be closed. I should know because I used to be one of those people. Hi, I'm Jose, a real Sweet James client, and a few months ago, I got into a bad accident in Victorville. My car was totaled and I was injured. Even though I used to be an insurance claims adjuster and was familiar with the claims process, I still needed someone to fight for me. So I called Sweet James Accident Attorneys because of their reputation of fighting for clients. The team at Sweet James helped me get medical treatment and always kept me updated on my case. I wouldn't have been able to take this on without them, even with all my experience.
So if you're ever hurt in an accident and you want the confidence that your attorney has your back, you gotta call Sweet James. 800-500-5200. 800-500-5200. And sweetjames.com.
Jose is a real client and was not paid to be on the radio.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people